Shalom. Shalom. Keep as strong as we can. All right. Before we get started, we're going to praise the Lord.
YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH.
Pay double honors to the apostles, elders, great millstone, who taught us the truth. Salutations to all you acting of the labor in the house of David, the elect, spoken this word with all righteousness and sincerity. Shalom to the brothers.
Shalom.
And shalom to the elect. Yeah, so we're back out here right now. Midweek 5. Right as this man, it's all about the prophecies anyway. This is what we out here to push. All right, the end of this world, the end of Esau's kingdom. All right, you know, according to the understanding that's been given to us via the Holy Spirit, that the end world was going to come through the revival of Rome. This is what we had now. All right, and anyone that was still in Revelation 13 chapter, all right, that beast, all right, going into America, they on the EU, and we're in that time. One of the main last prophecies that we've been talking about a lot lately is the MOP, right? And pretty much the Spirit of the Lord has been on IUIC concerning that MOTV. And we said it, you know, we knew, like I said in the lesson I did, that we knew in the Spirit that the Lord was eventually going to force the hand of IUIC. Because technology is so prevalent right now, there's no way that you can still run with these faulty breakdowns, even though they're doing it. But it shows you at the end, like the Church Street, that the guys, you know, they took it back, man. They made some deals with the government, whatever, analysts. So the Spirit has revealed these guys to be those highlanders and the false prophets, man. The Spirit of the Lord ain't there, man. All right?
Isaiah chapter 8, verse 20.
There you go.
To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. Yeah, and that's exactly what the elder is speaking of, right? The Lord has put that stuff on IUIC as well as all of these other camps pertaining to their faulty breakdown of scriptures.
Yeah, it's looking bad.
It's looking very bad, right? But that's what the Lord is doing. The Lord is searching Jerusalem with candlesticks,
Yes.
right? The Lord is examining the hearts of men. The Lord is the fruits of these individuals throughout the circumcision, and He's bringing to fruition their works before the entire midst of everyone, you know? So we're seeing according to the law and the testimony, and we understand pursuant to Revelation 19 and 10, right, that the testimony of YAHAWASHI is the spirit of prophecy.
Yeah.
We see the prophecy coming to pass pertaining, as the elder had made mention of the MOTV, right? It's irrefutable, right? But despite that, you still have guys that are trying to come up against the doctrine of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. Micah chapter 3, verse 5. Thus saith Yahweh concerning the prophets that make my people err, their teeth and cry peace.
Right, and when you come with these faulty ass breakdowns, you causing the people to err. Right, that's why there's so much confusion out there concerning the MOTV, the mark of the beast, man. Yep. Versus sin, it's the mark of Cain, it's the philosophies that you believe in America, whatever, you know, right? Whatever these guys are teaching. Right, there's so much confusion out there. This is why in the Spirit we say just stick to the apostles and elders of GMS. It is what it is, whether you like to hear that or not. Right, go ahead. Right. I'm recording right now. No, you good, brother. You good.
You got a question? What was your question? What do you mean? So Jewish, when you go into the word Jewish, the suffix ish means pertain to your life. So those people that identify themselves as Jewish, which you see in Israel today, that's the Jewish state. The state of these people that are on the sign are the true descendants, the blood descendants of the nation of Israel. The people that you are speaking of that are Jewish, the people that inhabit the land today are not the true Jews of the Bible. Well, we don't have a stance on it, but the understanding of what we see that's brewing in the Middle East, that's according to biblical prophecy.
Yeah.
We don't support either side. The side that support is the will of Yahweh Shai, the God of heaven and earth. Right? That's whose will we support. Right? The agenda and the MO of what the last for these people on the sign, right, is to receive of salvation. Right? Now, the scriptures speak about in the book of Sirach 5 and 15 to be not ignorant of a smaller matter. the great matter that you should be concerned with, the stance that you should have, is the stance of repentance, right? And making your calling of election sure. The Lord is giving you an opportunity right now to do that.
I do want to add on to something you said. Go to Jeremiah 50, verse 45. Because as a result of that conflict that's going on between these people that proclaim to be the true biblical Israelites and the Palestinians, is going to result into nuclear war. And that's where we're at in prophecy right now. Right? This Iran situation, Israel, America, that's all going to bring forth the war of Armageddon.
Jeremiah 50, verse 45. Therefore hear ye the word of the Lord YAHAWAH, that he hath taken Babylon.
Yep, talking about America. Go ahead.
And okay. Continuing on, it says, and his purposes that he had purposed against the land of the Chaldeans.
Still speaking about America. Now, it said the purposes. So what we're reading, this involves the will of the Lord. Right? Go ahead.
Sure, the least of the flock shall draw them out.
The least of the flock, going back to those people that proclaim be the Jays that you mentioned. All right, they're getting ready to pull America into World War III. This is happening as we speak. Go ahead.
Surely he shall make nation desolate with them.
Right, so the Lord is going to make not only America desolate, he's going to make the land of Israel desolate with those fake Jays over there. We got to like that for YouTube purposes, because people knock the video off. So they're the ones that actually control the media.
Yeah, I've been hearing about that. Like, I'm actually pretty confused. Like, is that true?
They don't. I actually got an article I can pull it out. But
Yeah, you grab that. I'll add some further context. If you ever heard of APAC, APAC is it's a committee, a handle over all of these people that are in government positions. So the members of Congress, they have what is known as an APAC handle. You can look it up for yourself. AIPAC.
So, where the president's like,
Because they the control of the people in that region. What do you mean? As far as that aspect of going over there and kissing that wall, that doesn't have anything to do with the Bible. When you really go into the practice of the practices that those people in the land of Israel today do, that's not tied to the Bible. What they follow is the Talmud.
it's all satanic.
Exactly. When you go into the practices of the Talmud, it's a lot of demonic, satanic practices, child sacrifices, all type of weird shit.
so that's like, because I've been used to like,
Yeah, that's all real.
That's real.
And all of that is we're in a time of exposure. So the Lord's allowing all these things to come to light because we're at the end of this man's rulership, his power. He's allowing all this stuff to get revealed before he physically destroys it. If that makes sense. Now, I found the article I was making mention of. This is from the LA Times. This came back in December 19th, 2008. The title says, who runs Hollywood? Come on, I'm going to read this, right? You read a couple paragraphs.
Now, if I may ask one, Hollywood, what do you know Hollywood for? Weird stuff, but it influences the minds of the people too, right? So just keeping that in mind as the elder is going to go into this article.
All of that. Everything I think of, they run it. Right? Yes. So you know a little something, man. You scratching the surface, right? I'm going to read this. Let me get a couple of paragraphs out of this. So, gotcha. So it says, who runs Hollywood? Come on. This is by Joel Stein, which is a J, right? It says, how deep, this is the second paragraph of the article. It says, how deeply is J-ish Hollywood? When studio chiefs took out a full-page ad in the Los Angeles Times a few weeks ago to the demand that the Screen Actors Guild settle its contract, the open letter was sent by News Corp President Peter Turin, J-ish, Paramount Pictures Chairman Brad Gray, J-ish, Walt Disney Company Chief Executive Robert Iger, Sony Pictures Chairman Michael Linton, surprise a Dutch J, Warner Brothers Chairman Barry Meyer, J-ish, CBS Corp Chief Executive Leslie Moonses, he says he's so J-ish, who was the first Prime Minister of Israel. MGM Chairman Harry Sloan, J-ish, and NB Universal Chief Executive Jeff Zucker, Megan-ish. If either one of the Weinstein brothers had signed, this group would have not only the power to shut down all film production, but to form a minivan with enough Fiji water on hand to fill a mikvah. So pretty much he's about all these top executives that run Hollywood are all James. Right? Now I just want to jump to the last paragraph just for time's sake. Right? So jumping down, this is what he said. All right, bear with me. So he says at the end of this article, he says, I appreciate Bachman's concerns, and maybe my life spent in New Jersey, New York, and the LA pro-Semitic cocoon has left me naive. This is what he says, is the point. He says, but I don't care if Americans think we're running the news media, Hollywood, Wall Street, or the government. I just care that we keep running them. See what I'm saying? So he's bragging about the power that they have over America. All the media, the government, Wall Street, Hollywood, etc. All right, they run the whole thing. Right? Good. That's good.
Is the earth flat?
Absolutely not. I got a scripture for you. Got it. Isaiah 42. Let me get that real quick.
What is grabbing that precept? You can catch a flight from the Philippines. So when you look at the map on the Western Hemisphere, and on the Eastern Hemisphere, you got regions such as east of China.
That's just like trying to say something about the firmament.
The firmament?
Yeah, yeah. From the earth, they said
And the rest of it, that's crazy. Isaiah 40. That's Isaiah 40, verse 22. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 22. It says, it is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth. All right? So it's proving that the earth is a sphere. All right? It's round, it's not flat. It says, it is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell therein. So that's your answer right there. You know?
And then for further validity, if you consider, okay, Alaska, right? When you look at a map, what part of Alaska is that map on? If you look at a map on a flat board, Alaska would be on the bottom, but it's up in that upper part of Canada, on the western side of the world. Now Russia stretches all the way over to the east, correct? You can cross that region within miles. So if the earth was flat, it would not be possible to go from that side of the earth to that side within miles.
You will fall off, right?
Exactly. Also, too, you have flat earthers that they pretty much did they captured light, and they captured light within a scope. And essentially, what they were trying to see was if that light would fall from the scope that they were looking in. Because if the earth was actually flat, like it was in straight plane, that light would not fall. But that's what happened. The light fell because, as the elder had read in the scriptures, the earth is round. It's a sphere. So
Those would be considered read the Bible. Salvation is first and foremost for the Lord. Get Joel 2 and 27. Let's start with 2. Right. Well, see, it's deeper than skin color. Right. It's about the spirit, because you got people who are Israelites that you see on the sign, but they're not going to necessarily look like dark skin like us. Our people come in various colors. It's all about the spirit. See, and that's something that you have to learn over time. The color reference point. So that's why when you look on the sign, these people, so-called Negro, Latino, American, Hispanic, people that were indigenous to this land, all right, they make up the 12. And we believe that may, but also you have historical evidence out there, you have archaeological evidence out there that proves these facts as well. But first and foremost, it's all about faith. Matter of fact,
this is the book of Romans, chapter 8.
you can't really get up in the color, all right? prime example, the best example I can give you right now, Drake. What does Drake's father look like? He's darker than he's about as dark as us, right? Now he had a baby with a white woman, right? You see the son, right? His son looked like a straight white boy with the blonde hair and everything, but that his son is still an Israelite.
But like, what if the bloodline is just like straight?
You say like if he was a straight Edomite, then be Edom. It really goes back to the father, who your father is. The bloodline is determined by the father.
The father determines your salvation.
It determines the okay, that's a great question.
Yeah, it does.
Hey, yeah, basically.
Because the salvation is of as the scriptures speak about in John the 4th chapter.
Right.
The Messiah, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ.
Right.
His name is YAHAWASHI. And he said to a woman at a well, a Sumerian woman, that salvation is of the Jews.
Yeah.
Now, when you go into how lineage is tracked, your bloodline is attributed to your father.
Right.
Because as a man, what do you carry in your nutsack? You carry seed. So if you put that seed, if you have an apple tree, a seed of a North American apple tree, right? A red delicious, right? That seed is red delicious tree, whether you plant that tree in Asia, whether you plant that in America. It's a red delicious apple. You follow what I'm saying? So what you had asked was salvation is predicated on the fathers. The salvation goes back to the promises that were afforded to our forefathers.
Right. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Would that make predestination like
Yeah, there's a spirit.
Brother,
Matter of fact, give him Romans the 9th chapter. All right, because it was predestined for the Israelites to be the chosen seed, the chosen line. There's a chosen within the chosen, which represents the remnant or the elect. Those are the individuals, the spirits that are going to receive salvation on this side. Because even all the people on the side are not going to make it. The Lord is coming back to gather his 144,000 and the great multitude, which represents the 1/3. I wish we had the sign out here. All right, then that's what it is. Men, women, and children that believe. You know, you got it out here.
predestination is? What's the point of some people going towards salvation?
so you asking a couple of questions. We want to make sure that we answer each one
That's right.
in its right order.
That's right.
Where do you want me to start? You want me to start at 3?
Romans 9 and you can read down and jump to verse 10. You read
This is the book of Romans, chapter 9 and verse 3, and this is the Apostle Paul.
Right.
So,
Paul wasn't a Jew.
Paul was a Jew. Paul was a Jew that was Peter was a Jew as well.
Right.
Paul to answer your question, Paul was a Jew, right? And he was sent forth. He had a task to bid the Gentile into the calling of election to receive a salvation. And those Gentiles that Paul was preaching unto they are of the Father. They were Israelite foreigners because, as the elder had made mention of, he touched on it lightly. But what happened across the history of our people as Israelites, we were scattered throughout different regions of the world. So you had different parts of the world, different regions where our people were inhabiting. So those Gentiles that we're about to read about, Paul is speaking to, are Israelite foreigners. I just wanted to give you that context before we read this.
Also, this is a random question. What are those crystals on your neck being served?
The crystals?
Yeah.
Stones?
Just those? No, the meaning?
Yeah, you said Paul wasn't a Jew. We're gonna get that to show you he was an Israelite. When you speak of the Jews were just a surname dealing with the southern kingdom. Judah, Benjamin, Levi, they was called the Jews. And that's all what you call Negro, the West Indians, Jamaicans, or Haitians will all be considered a Jew. So when you hear him talk about being from the tribe of Benjamin, that shows he was
Romans 11 and 1. I say then, hath the Most High counted his people? God forbid. Right. The Most High never casts away his people.
Right.
But you have, what people misinterpret in this world according to Christian values in Western America, in the Western Hemisphere, is that this idea of supersessionism.
Yeah, replacement theology.
Exactly.
If you get a chance, look it up on your phone.
The idea that everyone is afforded salvation, right? But to be predicated on salvation, you have to be again of what? which is your bloodline.
Wait, so now, what was the purpose of Jesus?
So we'll answer that question, but we want to make sure that you understand the context of what's being said. Okay.
Romans 11:1. I say then, hath the Most High cast away his people? God forbid. And not to cut off, but that's a doctrine of this world, that the Israelites were replaced by the Christian church. Now the Christian church is now spiritual Israel, which that's far from the truth. All right, the covenants, old and new, all right, still stand with the Lord's people to this day. It never changed. Saying, have the Lord cast away his people? Go ahead.
For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
Yep. So see Paul on this sign, right? Benjamin. Right? As the brother priest was making mention of, the Jews were the southern kingdom. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Right? Those were the ones that were inhabiting the land of Israel at that time.
Right.
You understand? Okay, keep reading. Was there more than that? That's it?
Verse 2.
Okay.
The Most High hath not cast away his people foreknew.
The Most High has not cast away his people, which he foreknew.
Right.
The Lord never casted away the so-called blacks, Latino, Native Americans, and Hispanics. One principal thing that has been taught in this world is that we're a people of no reputation. That we were just swinging from we were just swinging from vines and shit. You look at the track record of our people, it's just slavery.
Yeah.
You try to push past that boundary, it's like niggas act like I don't know what's going on.
We have a very rich background.
Right.
And it's all contained in the scripture.
Yep.
You got any more? I got something real quick. This is Jeremiah 33, just to add on to what we just brought out. Jeremiah 33 in verse 23 says, moreover, the word of the Lord, YAHAWASHI, came to Jeremiah, saying, consider thou not what this people has spoken, saying the two families which the Lord YAHAWASHI have chosen, even cast them off. So going back to what we talked about, that replacement theology, the world tells us that the people on this sign have forfeited the covenants that were established with their forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But that's not true, right? It says, have ye even cast them off? Thus they have despised my people, that they should be no more a nation before them. So like he was saying, when it comes to these people on the sign, we're not a people. We were just found in Africa, snaking the branches, right? When they came over here to the Americas, Native American Indians, the Mexicans, so-called Puerto Ricans were just savages, right? No, our history goes back to the scriptures. Say again.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
the tribe of
right. So right, those are the Hamites. But what happened is, within Western Christianity, they tried to bubble all of us into that seed of
Bible dictionary.
I'm about to pull it up.
Yeah, pull it up. Let me finish the read. It says, Jeremiah 33, verse 25. Thus saith the Lord, YAHAWASHI, if my covenant be not with day and night, and if I have not appointed the ordinance in earth, then I will cast away the seed of Jacob, and David the servant, that I will not take any of his seed to be rulers over the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Those are our forefathers. Right. All right. Which the covenants were established with, the promises. Right. It says, and I will not take any seed to be rulers over the seed of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, for I will cause their captivity to return and have mercy upon them. So now we're in a time where the Lord is getting ready to deliver these people on this sign out of America, various parts of the world where we've been scattered, starting with the elect, the remnant of these people.
So where would you the Bible is based?
What you mean?
Like from the Old Testament to the New Testament, what would you say it's based?
it encapsulates really the whole earth, because the scriptures speak about the captivity that we're in right now.
Yeah.
Right? The scriptures speak about the North Country, right? The scriptures speak about Asareth, which is this region over here, the quote-unquote world, right? Even going back to the time of King Solomon, right? You had Hamites that would travel over to this region. So really, the Bible it encapsulates every part of the earth. Excuse me?
It's 40 men and 3 beings.
Are you referencing the people that translated the King James? The original writers of what?
like, where you get that source from?
Yeah, I never heard of that.
Yeah, that's not, because like the brother is mentioning, the Bible is speaking about all the regions of the world. Because as we're seeing what's going on with like World War III, going to tension with Russia, Ukraine, all throughout the world, that's all mentioned in the Bible. The scriptures talk about how it's going to be wars and uproars all throughout the
All
world.
over Earth. And that's happening as we speak.
Oh, right. I got that was Pastor Philip Mitchell, I guess.
Never heard.
Come to church with church ain't
Yeah, that's real. The church is pretty much done.
Dealing with any of these churches, they're under what you call you look this up, a 501c3 charter. So on that, it's a gag order that they had to deal with the government, that if they teach what the government wants them to teach, then they could be tax exempt and they can get all the money without having to pay.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
They're bound by the system.
Right.
There's certain things that they're not allowed to talk about. They can't talk about politics. They can't talk about, the in-depth of the scriptures, man. So with that itself,
in like situations like police brutality, what's going on.
they can't talk about that.
But it is recent.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, but as the church as a whole, they're all bound to that 501c3.
Even if you do speak about that, if he tell you what's going on with prophecy right
Exactly.
now, are you aware? Well, look, are you aware of Revelation 13 and 16 dealing with the market? Does your pastor talk about that?
Yeah.
So that's why we
Yes, he should be talking about that.
They don't know exactly what they're talking about because they're told what guidelines to abide in. If you're a teacher of the Bible, you're supposed to teach everything. You're not supposed to withhold nothing back.
Right.
So a major prophecy that's supposed to be talked about is that. So let me ask you a question. So do you know exactly the whole thing, Revelation 13 and 16?
No, actually, I'm just
All right. That's a whole different thing in itself. But there's nothing wrong with that. So, have you heard about that breakdown before? So what do you know about the mark of the beast? Are we now? So, one, there's not one antichrist. There's many antichrists, as the scripture says. But did you get that for me, Revelation 13?
Also, just a random question. You guys read
Yeah.
You gotta come and listen.
So
You gotta come and listen one day.
So what, like I said, what I'm trying to get you to understand, as far as with the end times. So we've been in end times since the Messiah came on the scene.
Right.
So understanding that, number one, will bring the mindset to understand where we at right now.
I got something for you real quick. I want the scriptures to continue to come out. Revelation 19. Yeah. All right? Because if you claim you believe in who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, this is what you're supposed to be doing. Go ahead.
Revelation chapter 19 and verse 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him, and he said unto me, See thou do it not.
Yep.
I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren that have the testimony of YAHAWASHI. Worship YAHAWASHI. For the testimony of YAHAWASHI is the spirit of prophecy.
So anybody that's coming in the spirit of the Messiah, whose name is YAHAWASHI. Now you hear the world, they'll call him Jesus, but his real name is YAHAWASHI according to the Hebrew. So if you hear anybody talking about the Bible coming in the spirit of the Messiah, they're supposed to be talking about prophecy. Because throughout the whole Bible, the Messiah is mentioned. All right, so prophecy is the main topic of any time we talk about the Bible. So the prophecies that we're talking about, like I asked you about, dealing with that MOT, the mark of the beast, that's one of the most prevalent signs of prophecy. Let us know that we're in the end days. Because have you not seen on the news how they're starting to talk about everything going biometric, everything is making to where they want it to be integrated.
Also, I'm wondering.
Hold on, before you do that, because bro, you hop in subject. Yeah, but we're gonna get there. But this is more important than what you're about to ask now, right? Because this right here is life or death. Because if the Lord will kill you. Yahawashi, or who you call him, Jesus, he will kill you. This is why we want you to understand that first. So go ahead.
And this is what all these pastors need to be talking about. You got it, brother. Oh, what he got? He got 3 seconds. Okay, go.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Revelation 13 and verse 14. It's a lot. 16. And he causes all, both small and great,
All
rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their
right. So, as it says, he calls them all, both small and great, rich and poor, to receive a mark in the forehead. So, that mark that is talked about, when you look up that word mark, that verse, it goes into charagma, which is a stamp or imprint, which is why when you see that needle, they're gonna put that needle in between the index and your thumb, which is part of your hand, has the most electricity in your body. So we'll get to you in a minute. So that if you got mark in you, okay, that's you're showing a alliance to the system. You have chosen the God of this world, which is Satan, which is the so-called white man, to be your God. No, there's no such thing as a rap.
That's part of the hour of temptation. Which is one of the Revelation with 3 and 10.
Because see, and that's the thing when it comes to the Bible, bro. The thing that you learned in church, you got to throw that out, because what they're telling you in church is not the truth. Now, that's crazy to hear that, but like we said, you have to know these things for what they were talking about. It's in the church. We're out here every week, Wednesday and Saturday. So if you got questions, come out here and get what happens?
Wisdom cries out on the streets.
Right. And the scriptures also say that the Spirit of the Lord does not dwell in temples made by hands. The Spirit of the Lord is right here. Because as we read earlier, all right, any man talk about the Spirit of the Messiah will be prophesying. The people in the church ain't prophesying. All they're doing is telling you prosperity, all right, pay your tithes, all right, and they'll give you a bunch of mumbo jumbo when they go on a motivation speech about 20 minutes.
And most of the people in the church have no clue what's going on in the world.
Because as we keep getting away from this, I'm trying to get you to stay on this so you understand. This mark of the beast is the main prophecy you should be concerned about. Because if you see the way that the money is going, you see how money's going digital, right? So do you understand that all your information, your wallet, your memory, your social security, everything's going to be on this chip? Because they want you so that you can be a part of the system. Now, who you call Jesus or YAHAWASHI is telling you not to take that and rely on him. So this is why I said you have to know this, because when the time comes to where they crash this society and you don't have nowhere to go get your food from, if you got a family, you take your family, they're going to tell you to get that. Yeah. But the Lord is telling you to take sauce to him. He's going to feed you. And what's going to happen, a lot of people that don't about the Lord and what his message is, they're going to take that and the Lord's going to kill them. Go ahead.
Revelation 3 and 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation upon all the world.
Which should come upon all the world. So what the brother's talking about dealing with the mark of the beast, that's part of the hour of temptation. That's also part of Jacob's trouble.
Right.
It's going to come all upon the world. Everybody's going to be tempted to either rely on the Lord, all right, rely on the faith that they proclaim they have, or to sell out to Satan. Now, that's part of the test.
And this is why we're saying your church pastor's never going to talk about that. Your church pastor in that house is going to tell you to take that. Yep. Because we have documentation that we brought up before that, what was it, Romans 13?
Yep.
They're going to tell you to obey the powers that be. So these churches, these government leaders, these people in position of power are going to tell you to comply and take that.
It was the thing with the jab scene.
Right.
Right? Pastors in these churches told people to get that. Now,
not to go far off, but as far as the pandemic, right? Did you take the juice? You take the jab? That's the vaccine. That made me know.
Man. Do your research. That's all we do.
Yeah. We can't.
We ain't going to sit up here and go in, but you need to do your research, brother. Right?
So does that cancel out my salvation?
No.
No, you can still. The Lord can still say it if He wants to.
But it's the mindset.
The mindset of, do you trust the government more than the Lord?
Exactly.
But you hear what you said? At that time, you was trying to be what? But that's what we're going to have you understand. Your mindset at that time was that you lived in to the order that was being presented to you, and under the guise of peace and safety.
Yeah.
That's so we don't want to. You asking questions, but we don't want to deviate like the brother said about the point right there. it's important that you develop a mindset that is a mindset of faith. I mean, it's up to you, brother. You want salvation or you want to go?
No, I got this last thing for you because what you said, you
we're not
want.
mad at you up here. We just give you the truth, brother.
But look, I want to leave you with this because what you said, you wanted to be safe, but the Lord is telling you that safety is with Him. So I'm gonna leave you with this. This is Psalm and 9, and this is the approach that we took during that time.
That's right.
Because thou has made Psalm 91 and 9. Because thou has made the Lord, which is thy refuge, even the Most High thy habitation. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come near thy dwelling. So it's protection prayer, but in that time we were faced with the same thing you were faced with.
Your job on the line.
Our health,
Yep.
family, we still attacked, and the Lord took care of us.
Yep.
And that's what we're telling you in this time now. You were ignorant at that time, now we're letting you know now. And that same point, when they do this, have faith in the Lord.
Pass that test, brother.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, hey, you're gonna have to make sure in that time, bro. Because hey, we're in a time where they about to push this thing.
And
They're gonna crash it. And ain't gonna be no more use of paper money, no more credit card, debit cards, and they're gonna say, look, you want to buy and sell, you got to take that. The choice is yours, brother.
we'll leave you with that. Nope.
Yep. That's it.
Let Jesus say
To it.
Another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I had a question. Like, where do you think like artificial intelligence
That's a great question.
Go back to Revelation 13.
Yeah, Revelation 13. All that. That's the image of the beast. There's the spirit. We did lessons on that earlier today, right? But all the Apostle John the Revelator, he saw all this stuff. He saw the AI. He saw the chip. He saw the social.
What I'm saying is, if somebody, let's say their hand is messed up,
Right.
and they get a robotic hand implanted into their flesh,
Right.
what would that be considered?
I mean, he still got the implant, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying, is that considered an implant against God?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because in the law, it tells you to make no cutting in the flesh.
That's right.
So what they're trying to do with these implants and everything is to bring these pseudo miracles to make themselves seem like they're God.
Oh man.
Because through the Lord, it's come to help you.
What if it's like some kind of robotic artificial intelligence, robotic leg that helps them?
Those are those lying miracles.
Yeah.
Because when people see that,
I mean, that where's the line? Where's the line?
The line is don't get it. If the line is if that's the element the Lord has, then you just deal with it until the Lord come back. Because anything that you take,
You're in your let's say the leg is blown off, you can't get like a new robotic leg.
I would say no. I would say no because what that's doing, all right, is bringing forth, like we said, those pseudo miracles to make the government seem like they're God. Because all these different scientific advancements that they're doing, you mentioned AI and all that, is themselves seem like they have more power than God.
just at a point though, if you get the bionic arm and legs, you're gonna have to have a chip in you to move.
Right.
You're not just gonna get it on you and move on its own. You're gonna have to have a chip in you to move the arm, move the leg, everything.
Like the example, the first test subject that Elon Musk put the brain in,
Yep.
that he was paralyzed, he's able to move stuff with his mind. He's only able to do it because that chip in his
There
brain.
you go. It all goes back to the chip.
Well, you can't
Well, that's a great because
That's Revelation 13.
that's going to happen. But that's going to happen for the purpose to get the ones to believe in those miracles.
The line
That's why they're doing it now. That's why Elon Musk is the head of Neuralink, right? He implanted his, I believe, his second patient device, and that man was able to move his neck or something, his arm, something like that. So this is what they're doing to present to the public that you can trust and take this knowledge, right? Give me that real quick, second testimony. You got it? Got it.
This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse.
It's all a snare. Go ahead.
2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 8 in the NLT. It says, then the man of lawlessness will be revealed, but the Lord YAHAWASHI will kill him with the breath of his mouth and destroy him by the splendor of his coming.
Keep on.
Verse 9, this man will come to do the work of Satan.
He will come to do the work of Satan. The men that you see on the sign right here. All right? They're doing the work of Satan. Go ahead.
with counterfeit power and signs in earth.
With counterfeit power and signs and miracles. So that technology is all left-handed witchcraft sorcery, man. Right? Keep going out.
Verse 10. He will use every kind of evil deception to fool those on their way to destruction.
Exactly. So like I said, that question you asked is a good question because they're presenting that to people right now. They're showing, look what we can do. You get this chip in you, right? You can buy it. See? That, people are going to buy into it.
Because if I can answer that, because if you go back to the story in Exodus dealing with Pharaoh and his magicians, he was able to copy to a degree the same abilities that. But when you read about how when Moses put his staff and made it a serpent and it ate the magician's serpent, that was to show you that the Lord's power was greater than the left hand. So that's the same thing that we're seeing in today's time. They do this so-called science, but it's not science, it's really witchcraft.
High level witchcraft.
If I may add too, all these high-level medical marvels and sciences and things of that nature, if you have them now, eventually you're going to be forced or cursed into having to get upgrades and things of that nature.
Yeah, like a good, you able to watch Netflix, but it's a show on there called Black Mirror. And the very first episode in Black Mirror shows exactly what the brother just said. Because in that episode, it showed you the woman had a brain tumor. And so they put a microchip in her brain so that she could function again. And it eventually got to a point to where she started having ads. And so to get that out of her, they had to upgrade to a higher premium, which cost more money. And then the more and more that stuff can happen to it, they had to keep upgrading it to the point so they couldn't afford the payments. And that's essentially what the devil wants to do now. So that's what we're going to see go on more and more. But they're introducing things now as a means of technological advancement.
That's it. So through that technology, as it's been put out there, they have the ability to hack your brain.
Right.
So it won't even be you operating your body. It's gonna be fucking AI.
A good movie to watch also is Upgrade.
Yeah.
I got a precept for you,
brother. Oh, matter of fact, can I finish that?
Yeah, go ahead.
2 Thessalonians 2:10 and 11.
Real serious, but people don't consider it. Just look at it as a piece of technology.
Right.
You know.
2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 10 in the NLT. He will use every kind of evil deception to fool those on their way to destruction.
Exactly.
Because they refuse to love and accept the truth that would save them.
Exactly, like the guy that was up here. He wasn't really trying to hear what we had to say. His mind was already made. All right, his conscience was sealed with a hot iron. Go ahead.
Verse 11. It reads, "So the Most High will cause them to be deceived."
Yep, just like he did. He said he took the JAB. So how much more when the pressure comes down for those who take that? Go ahead.
And they will believe these lies.
And they will believe these lies. What? They're seeing people walk again. They're seeing people that couldn't talk again.
Right.
So people are going to fall victim to that spirit.
And the snare is that after doing this, quote unquote healing people,
Yes.
we're out here telling the people scriptures that the Lord is against that. That true healing comes from Him. And so they use the Bible as a means of demonization to say that we're speaking against the technical advancement of the wicked.
Exactly. Right now, in this society, in this day and age, it's science over God.
Right. But you saw that during the pandemic.
Yes.
When it comes to that, the line of science and what they're calling science now, if you look at the scientists of old, Newton and all them, they would use the Bible as reference to make sure that their hypotheses were correct. Now, you look at the scientists of today, they don't even use it for anything. That's how we know today is witchcraft. Because what they're doing now is just experimenting on shit. And they consult these Satanists and they do, rituals and stuff to talk to demons to give the ideas for what they're doing. Like the AI you mentioned earlier, Elon Musk kind of told you that he's unleashing the demon with his AI. And so he said that he wants to be the good guy to bring the demons out. Man.
Hey, not to rant, we'll get back to the scriptures, but those quantum engineers, there's a video one of the brothers had posted. One of those quantum engineers from Google said the AI has surpassed human consciousness. And they said the deities that they're dealing with are not necessarily in line with their so who are they dealing with? They're dealing with spirits, demons.
Right. And one more point, just dealing with science. When you look up the true meaning of science according to the Hebrew, all right, it goes back to the word amaf, which is truth. Real science is true. What you're seeing in today's isn't real science, man. Like I said, this is real demonology and witchcraft.
Now pass it back to us when we read the last one.
2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 12. Then they will be condemned for enjoying evil rather than believing the good.
Yep. That's it. That's it. So these people are going to be condemned because it's not in the truth. They believe the lie, and those lies tie back into those lying miracles. It's technology, everything that he's presenting to the people now.
Right.
If I may, read 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 12 in the KJV. It says, all might be damned who believe not the truth, but have pleasure in unrighteousness. When you look up this word pleasure in the Strong's Concordance, in Strong's G6, it says, think it good, choose, determine, decide, to prefer.
Which is why the main reason why these people are now more coerced to go with the science now is because they've been conditioned through college, through school and all that, to where they question religion. They question the Bible now because science, through what they teach people, gives them reason to understand everything. Where the Bible, because they don't have the understanding to really go in and break down the Bible, is left question. Because if you don't have the Spirit of the Lord to be able to read the Bible, you don't understand it. So they feel like they understand better, which is this bullshit that you learn in this work. I got a precept. This is 1 Timothy 6:20. O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so. Now, when you go into this word science, give me a second, pull up. Falsely so-called is pseudonos, which means falsely named, because this isn't real science, like I made mention of earlier. It's witchcraft. All right, and that's how they're able to charm the people into leaning towards that. Because, like what you made mention earlier, if you got somebody that's missing limbs, or it may be paralyzed because they have some type of brain ailment or not, this microchip and these different things are miracles that they created to make it to where they feel like they can go back to a normal life. So this is why they're pushing that to make it seem like we read earlier in 2 Thessalonians, God, they have more power than God now. Because if God was really real, like how the world wants to say it, then why can't he heal me? Because now I'm giving you the healing instead of him. You know?
It's a perfect setup. But you got to have the understanding to see what's being said, right?
It's a spiritual going on right now between the devil and Lord. Now, we say the devil, but the devil has a physical counterpart in the world, all right, which we know as the Edomites, which is known as the so-called white race. Now, when we say the white race, just because your skin color may look like you're a white man doesn't mean that you are an actual Edomite. Because the Israelites have throughout the whole, four corners of the earth. So if you have an unction to believe in what the Bible says, then you might be an Israelite. But when you look at the fact of the matter, people that run this world, as you see in this wicked sign right here, the elites, the chief house of the Edomites, which is the Amalek or the Amalekites, these are the devils that rule the world right now, man. These are the vessels that Satan is using to bring to the earth. That's right. I got it.
We'll read that. Go to Habakkuk second chapter. The spirit, hey, that's how the spirit be. Habakkuk second chapter starts first verse.
Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 1. As I was standing upon my watch, he set me upon the tower. Everyone else probably going to be robbing.
That's right. You give me a team, I see the money. The one I got to the camera.
And the Lord answered me, and said, write the vision, and make it plain upon paper.
Break it down. All right, to give you the proper understanding of what's being said in the floor. Go ahead and all that.
And you may run that
Civil war, class wars, violence, right? Go ahead, Al.
But at the end it shall speak and not lie.
Yep, it's not lying. Go ahead.
Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry.
And we're in a time where these prophecies are surely coming to pass. Daily. All right, give me real quick, 2nd Ezra 9, start at the top, right? Because what the Lord is doing is overwhelming, right? And like we was the young man earlier, if you come in the spirit of the Messiah, like you say you do, you're supposed to be prophesying, man. You're supposed to be warning people of the times that are coming, the things that the Lord warned us about, man. Christians ain't talking, the church ain't talking about that.
The scriptures tell us to prophesy, right? They also say, who can but prophesy? Right? So if the Lord is really dealing with you, then you're going to be speaking on these verses and these things that are coming to pass.
Absolutely. Real quick, before you read it, go to Sirach 39. It's all about prophecy. Yes, Sirach 39 at the top.
Sirach, Ecclesiastes chapter 31. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecies.
Occupied in prophecies. Right? That's our main term. The prophecies, because the prophecies are the tokens, the signs that they're what? The end of this place is us getting out of it. Salvation. Destruction with it. Right? Go ahead.
He will keep the sayings of the renowned men, and where stellar parables are, he will be there also.
Now, men, going back to the prophets, and it says, what's that part about the subtle parables?
And where stellar parables are, he will be there also.
Right, the subtle parables go into the dark sayings, all right, the mysteries of the scriptures, because you got to have the spirit of hermit on you to decipher what's being said, all right, because these parables and they're written in mysteries, they're like puzzles, right? Go ahead.
He will seek out the secrets of the grave syntheses.
He will seek out the secrets of the books. So you really got to have the Lord dealing with you as you read the book. This ain't no, but you just open up like a novel. That's why people who ain't meant to, really read this book, they break the scriptures down wrong. They don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah, like that was up here earlier. Talking about his pastor told him his pastor don't have the truth. His pastor don't know how to correctly break the Bible down.
Yep. People in here just who read the Bible front to back for 30, 40, 50 years and still don't understand what it's really saying.
Right. So the correct way to read the scriptures, like it says in Isaiah 34,
Pull that up, Mike.
what it says, Isaiah 34.
Yeah.
It's Isaiah verse 10.
Precepts.
Yeah,
I can understand. Yeah. That was something. Go ahead, now.
This is Isaiah 28 and verse 10. It says, for precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here and there.
Right, like the elders mentioned too. Without precepts to get understanding. So it's the Bible verse that connects with the Bible verse, and you jump to the precept to get the understanding of the verse you're reading. You can't just read the Bible from the Revelation and think that you're going to understand it. Because if you don't know how to properly break the script down through the precept, you'll get lost.
You'll get swallowed up. You'll stumble.
Like, for example, we're not going to go into it, but you give me an example. You read Genesis 1 and 1, you have to know the precept that aligns with that verse to be able to actually know when it says God prepared the work. All right? Because the Most High was mentioned in Genesis, the first chapter. All right? So if you read that, you'll be confused. That's a whole different topic in itself. But that's why I said you have to have the Spirit of the Lord. He's the ability to go into the precept.
Yeah, that's part of having the oil. You got to go into the meaning of the word.
Yeah.
You got to break it down. You got to go to the etymology. These people don't do that. Right? Because you have something called newspeak.
Right.
Which when Esau created, where he changes definitions of words. So you got to go back to the original context to get the understanding behind certain words.
And also, too, they have a thing called a lawful translation as well.
Yep.
Dealing with the name. Because when it says Jesus, it's not the name of the Messiah. They said that that's the Messiah's name that was translated in English, but that's not true. As you mentioned, YAHAWASHI, translated in Joshua. But Jesus was put there as a stamp. So you have to know how to world. Well, what world is it talking about? Because there's three different types of words when you look at that definition.
Yep.
You got Orthodox, Cosmos, and what's the other one?
Eon.
Eon, yeah.
Yep.
So you gotta know what context you have to put what's this there for that.
Exactly.
You know? But just
There's many hurdles and stumbling blocks in there. That's why you gotta have the spirit working with you. Go ahead, is there any more in there? One more?
Surah 39, verse 4. You shall serve among great men and appear before princes. He will travel through strange countries, for he hath tried the good and the evil among men.
That's it. Go back to yes, and that's not.
No, I said that in 9 and 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in
So
yourself.
how do you measure the time diligently within yourself? Measure the time by using the scriptures and applying to what's going on in the world. All right, the Lord said that we receive, matter of fact, that we got to jump and go ahead and read it.
Revelation 11 and 1.
There you go.
And there was given me a ring like unto a rod, and the angel stood saying, rise and measure the temple of God.
Yeah, the Israelites. Something of God is the Israelites. The measuring stick on the rod is the scriptures. Right? Go ahead.
And the altar and them that sit therein.
Right, so that's how you measure the times through the scriptures. Right? The Lord said that you were going to see earthquakes in diverse places. Have you not been seeing that? Over there in Thailand, this many hundreds of thousands of people died.
Just doing that right now.
Different parts of the world, you know, landslides, all types of stuff, right? Wars and wars, right? That's all part of measuring the time. Let's go back to that. Just to give you an example.
Say that in 9 and 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in yourself.
So we have understanding on that. Go ahead.
And when thou seest part of the signs come to pass,
So when you see these things come to pass, as we've been seeing, go ahead.
told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he
So
made.
all these signs that we've been seeing on the earth is telling us that the Lord is on his way back. Whether you believe that or not, the government does.
Hey,
They know he's coming back.
the woman that just came up, she answered it. She said, she looked at the sign and said, Musk is doing that right now.
Exactly. So people are aware.
Like when Jack was up here talking, he said, you know, the mark of the beast will come during end times. He didn't understand that we're in the end times right now.
Exactly. Right? We definitely.
What's going on with that UFO?
I'm glad you asked that question. So read that again. I'll link you with that. Read that precept.
2 Ezra 9 and 2. Then shalt thou understand that is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made.
Right, so this is how the Lord is getting ready to come back. Real quick, give me Isaiah 19 and 1. He's coming back in the host of heaven. All right, what the world really calls UFOs, UAPs. This one is coming back. All right, years ago, I want to say probably like 10, 11 years ago, before YouTube got heavily regulated, there's tons of videos of the government admitting that, look, they saw, they're watching so-called UFOs bigger than the earth over the earth, right? They're admitting that. That's why as of lately, was in 2019, they started declassifying all this information concerning the UFOs.
Like the same event that we always mentioned was the one where this right here, UFOs over the White House.
That's like back in the 50s this happened.
Right.
This is a real photo too.
I forgot what they called it. Who's the president? Eisenhower or somebody.
Yeah.
But they had called and tried to call her the middle flight by President Jackson and it was going. They've always known about the president of the so-called UFOs.
These are the angels.
Right. So this is Isaiah 19 and 1. The burden of Egypt.
Yep.
Behold, the Lord rideth upon a cloud.
The Lord rideth upon a swift cloud. Like that when you see that movie Independence Day? Will Smith? Yeah, that was based off, right? When that big father ship came on the earth, that was basically Lord. Right. But in the movie they showed you it was black aliens and shit like that. Right. No, this is really the Lord, the heavenly host of
and to answer that point, that scene that was described in Independence Day, that's actually in the Bible. You have the Apocryphal, look out of the Bible.
Yeah.
You got the Apocryphal.
I got it right here.
This book right here, 2 Ezra 13 chapters, that actual scene is actually written from that. Because Hollywood directors took a script from the Bible.
Exactly. So they know what's going to happen. The Apocrypha? Yeah, this is part of the original King James. This is part of the Old Testament. Yeah, they took it out. It's some very crucial history here, especially dealing with the time Maccabees, all right, the Hellenization of our people, how we became Gentiles, how our people fell away from the Lord, etc. All right?
And that says right here, what is that to the Lord? Right.
Wait, how many people they got it?
If you look up, it's a group called the Bible Discussion Group. They were the ones commissioned to take these books on the scripture. That's why when you hear people talk about the apocrypha, they say not canon. Right. Because the Roman Catholic Church doesn't recognize the apocrypha as called the Bible. But if you get your hands on a 1611 Bible, you will see that all these books are still in here. The 1611 Bible. 1611.
And the boy. And the boy. I just went to Rhino Market.
Down and that's how the Lord is going to actually break through the firmament, all right, when he appears on the earth. So that's the waters, right? The sea. Go ahead.
And lo, there arose a wind from the sea that moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, lo, that man went strong with thousands of heaven.
That man is the Messiah, who the world called Jesus Christ, which is Hebrew name. He's coming with the thousands of heaven. That's the name. Go ahead.
We read that Second Thessalonians.
Run through my body, bro.
That man went strong with thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that was seen under him.
Just like remember when the Father said, "Hey," everybody was looking up and they were scared, right? That's got it. For all things trembled that were seen under him. So he's coming back in that massive angelic vehicle, right? Go ahead.
I shall not meet you as a man.
That's it.
And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice.
That's it right there. When the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice. That was that laser beam that came. It blew up everything, right? Give me Isaiah 30 and 30. Because it said the voice of the Lord, that's that laser beam, that concentrate.
It's Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 30. And the Lord shall cause his glorious voice to be heard.
That's right.
And shoot the lightning down of his arm.
There you go.
With the indignation of his anger, with the flame of a devouring fire, with scattering and tempest and hailstones.
Yeah, that's that laser beam. That's concentrated fire. That's the Lord's voice that's going to come down and it's going to keep you on fire. Go ahead and go back to that.
All they burned that heard his voice, like a burning daily, and fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of it from the four winds of the heaven.
Right, so that multitude now, World War III is actually taking place on the earth. That's what the Lord is going to appear. He's going to appear on the scene in the midst of war wars. It's dropping, things is blowing up, cutting going up. The Lord's going to appear on the scene. Go ahead.
And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds to subdue that man that came out of the sea.
So in the midst of World War III, as the nations of each other, they're going to stop fighting each other and turn and fight the Lord when he appears on the scene.
When I beheld, and lo, he had raised himself a great mountain and flew up upon it.
Right, so imagine seeing, what's a great mountain, like Mount Everest. Imagine seeing Mount Everest just hovering in the sky. It is. Imagine seeing that it would block out pretty much most of the sky. Right? Exactly. Go ahead.
And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight.
Right, the Lord is going to put the spirit on the enemies of the Lord to fight against them. This is why back when Trump in his first administration, they created the Space Force. Right? They're actually watching the heavens. There's a video of one of the brothers shared as well. In 2025, the number of satellites that are in orbit all over the Earth, like I forgot, it's like covering the earth because this man has the ability to watch the earth in real time. They're watching out for the Lord, the angels, and all that. Right? Go ahead. Yeah, they're trying to escape. They can't, like you said earlier, Jay, talking about the firmament and all that. They can't do that. All right, there's boundaries for this man. Or go down to the ocean. Go ahead.
And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war.
Keep going.
But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips as a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks of fire.
Go ahead. All those satellites are really not in space. They're in low orbit. They're not actually in outer space as they want you to believe this because something called a bad helicopter. Right? They can't penetrate that. It's like high level radiation. It's like something crazy. I forgot how many thousands degrees it is. Right? And the Holy Ghost so high. Project Fishbowl.
I've never figured out how to truly get into the outer layers of the firmament.
Yeah. Yeah, that's BS.
That wasn't real. Because, number one, you look up NASA, the Hebrew word is so that's already is and then two, that's already been proven to be fake.
Right.
Because he's even been on record to say that was fake.
What's his name? Neil Armstrong?
I forgot the other guy.
Yeah, what's his name?
Yeah.
But one of him, yeah, they interviewed the guy about it, and he took off running.
If I could add too, how that Neil Armstrong was the first person to step foot on the moon, but the camera was already there recording.
And then on top of that, as they said they plant the flag and it's wind blowing with their face. Like, it's green screen, bro. Hollywood. That's why, like, CIA, FBI, they've been doing this. My question to that, if they've been in space, why hasn't there been multiple trips back and forth? What the moon rock said?
They just did one, but they was like, we ain't got no footage.
That's what I say. You said Katy Perry and all that went up in space for 10 minutes. All these years of them talking about that's a hour-long trip. They did that in 10 minutes. Come on, that's one.
Because of the Hebrew word H7549, it says RAWCHAA. It says the firmament of heaven spread out like an hemisphere above the earth, like a splendid and pellucid sapphire to which the stars were supposed to be fixed, and over the which Hebrews believed there was it says, and over the which the Hebrews believed there was a heavenly ocean, and pretty much we know more how it is solid.
Job 14:5. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast ordered his bounds that he cannot pass.
So there's spiritual boundaries that this man can't pass. He can't go all the way up in the heavens. He can't go all the way to the ocean. Even different parts of the world, it's blocked off. That's more deeper stuff, But there's nothing that we can teach. I'm pretty sure there's stuff discovered out there that we saw like we'll find all over.
once you go past certain point, in the space, these bodies can't maintain their molecular makeup. Which is why when you see like you see like monkeys and stuff in the space, they because this body has to be on Earth. So this is why every time I talk about that has a life because these bodies are not on a deep Earth. To be able to planet, you need a little body like with the space.
He's going to keep that to his chosen in this time to come. This is why, not to rant, but going back to those blind miracles, this is some transhumanism.
Yeah.
Merging man with machine, they're trying to do it on the left hand side. You know, they know according to the scriptures that the Lord is going to give His man actual spiritual bodies. Right. They're trying to do it in man's way.
Yeah. Imagine why do you think all these bodies that they keep trying to shoot up in space is blowing up? The Lord doesn't want them to have that technological advantage. It's not that.
We did a lesson before, even remember the lesson we do with the bottom of the ocean. There's a boundary in the bottom of the ocean where when the submarine would try to go any lower, it would bound up. It couldn't penetrate that boundary. That's the Lord.
And also, too, it's a strike fish to where you have areas like in China to where they shoot the plane go in and go this. So it's different things that you have things in there. It's certain parts of the earth that are working together right now. But see, this devil will tell you that they have discovered the majority of the earth. He hadn't even scratched the surface. It's not even, I think it was 14%. He has little, it's just not 50% of the earth.
It's parts of America.
He's alive.
And these different definitions that the earth is overpopulated. Hell out of here, man. You got it. What you
Sure, it's not that. The landmass in the back is able to hold a big chunk of the earth. On that, what's going with that?
Yeah, the many mansions. Let's go back to this planet you were talking about. All right, those planets are inhabited, but they're not for these people. Therefore, the Lord's people in the kingdom of God. All right, go ahead. If we're not so, what I told you, I go to a very place for you. Yeah. So there's all types of mysteries and things that we're going to become privy to. The Lord upgrades our bodies and minds. Right? Because right now, we're sitting in Corinthians, we prophesied. Right? The Lord has given us the knowledge, all knowledge we need pertaining to what? For our salvation. Let's get to live. But what do we need to move in this world, you know? So 1 Corinthians 13 and verse 9. We know in part and prophesy in part, right? And we prophesy in part. Verse 10. But when that which is perfect comes, then that which is in part shall be done away. Right, so meaning that when the Lord comes back, He upgrades us with spiritual bodies. Like the priest was saying, we have the spiritual bodies. The bodies that we're going to have in the second covenant are going to be extraterrestrial. We're going to actually have those bodies here on the earth. We're going to be able to travel to different planets, go to the different boundaries that the Lord set up that Esau came back. And that's the that we're going to receive if we're part of the Lord's elect.
Right. That's why we were thinking earlier our main concern right now is trying to receive salvation, which is delivered from the coming evil. And all the other stuff, like when we talk about the bad hearts in different parts of the land that, it's questions. Like, you have to cover the earth where they actually found out for. Put that out there too. But that's not our focus. Because our main thing is what we should talk about. But there's many things that is questioned about. But it's not our concern.
Those are things that we teach, right? Our concern is what? Salvation. All right, praying that we make it through the time of trouble that we might have. Right? We want to see those things. We should come to that sustainable. Right?
So all types of questions that argue over that. That's a dinosaur thing. People don't tell you that the earth is billions of years old, but mankind and dinosaurs dwelt in the same realm. When you read Genesis, when it talks about the behemoths,
Something like that. Let me get that.
yeah, I went over that in a minute.
Genesis 14.
Yeah.
Carbon dating
Yeah.
is fake because it's what that is a hypothesis. It's an educated guess. And what they'll do by going into the different land deposits and that, if they just pull a number out their ass and try to say that millions of years is old, to try to discredit the work that the Lord does because the timeline of the earth, the embassy and all that is described in the Bible. Now to go in depth as you know, we could go with it, not really important, but the fact you asked that, and you said we have the scriptures to prove it, it's not being old though.
Read that real quick. Second Ezra 14 and 11.
So this is Second Ezra chapter 14 and verse 11. Start verse 10. The world hath lost its youth, and the times begin to wax old. The world is divided into 12 parts.
12 parts representing 12,000.
And the 10 parts of it are gone already, and half of a 10th part.
10 parts, 10,000 years. The last part.
And half of a 10th part.
And half of the 10 part is 500.
I want to add to that point. You said, we can break down again more again, 12,000.
Read verse 11. Ezra 14 and verse 11.
For the world is divided into 12 parts,
For 12,000 years.
and the 10 parts of it are gone already,
10,000 years.
and half of a part.
Which would be 500 years.
So we understand, of course, like when you read Genesis, right, about, the first day, second day, and all that. One day with the Lord is 1,000 years. So read that, 2 Peter 3 and 8. Beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day with the Lord is as 1,000 years, and the years as one day. So, as the elder was breaking that down, you have to understand that concept to even be able to grasp this concept out. Because what he saw, I'll tell you now, is the earth is millions, billions of years old. So when you start reading about the creation story, you're thinking that this shit is way years before and all that. And then all the different stories, like the other stuff, like that could be, that's far-fetched. If you're looking at that now, it's kind of like,
Right. So they had some more in that time frame. Messiah, YAHAWASHI came on the scene in year 180, 500 years time. 500 BC. So when YAHAWASHI arrived, the 10th part, the 10,000 year, was fully complete. Since fast forward today, we're at the 12th part, 12,000 years, and that YAHAWASHI got 2,000 years ago. So we're around, like I said, 12,000 year marker. You know,
which is why I think you was up there earlier when we were speaking with y'all guys, and we were talking about the end date. So the end date began when the Messiah was on the earth.
Yep.
So, like I said, they'll tell you he was on the earth millions of years ago, all this happened. But that was fairly recent, in the eyes of the Lord.
So that kind of gives us the range of age.
The earth is still young.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't look that way because the rulers that are in power right now have raped and pillaged the earth to where it's suffering. Right. Because when you look at, it's a documentary on Amazon Prime going into the days of Noah. And they'll tell you during that time when Noah walked the earth that the earth was plenty. Things on the earth was bigger. The people were bigger, the animals were bigger, the vegetation, all that was bigger. Like, for example, yeah, they talked about cluster of grapes, and it took two to be able to carry a cluster of grapes. And then you look at a cluster of grapes now, you take the hand. Good for that. If you look out in California, you have a forest called the redwood, and those trees are big as shit. But it's showing you how things used to be back in the ancient world.
Give me what was you just talking about? Genesis the 4th chapter. Right? The earth was new and strip.
This is Genesis chapter 4 and verse 11.
Yep.
And now art thou cursed from the earth.
Matter of fact, start at
Genesis chapter 4 verse 9. And the Lord Yahweh said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper?
right, he's a liar. Right? Go ahead.
And he said,
And this is after he slew his brother Abel. Go ahead.
and he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground.
Right. So Abel's spirit was crying out to the Heavenly Father for what came.
And now art thou cursed from the earth,
Yep.
which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand.
So Cain was cursed. Go ahead.
When thou tillest the
When
ground,
thou tillest the ground. Go ahead.
it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength.
Right. Really, the reason why the earth is in its current state because it's being ruled over by the descendant of Cain.
Right.
Edomites.
Which is why when you see everywhere that the so-called white man lives at, like using Europe as an example, it's a barren wasteland because the earth wasn't going to yield to them. That's why everywhere they're going, like those people over there in the land of Israel calling themselves Jews now, when they came into that land throughout the different aliyahs, they had to import all the trees and everything over there because that land wasn't yielding to them. Even here in America, since they came over here to America, look how this place, which was first known as the land of milk, and look how it's become a wasteland. We got concrete jungles, all these skyscrapers and pavement everywhere.
This used to be a paradise.
Right. Hey, when the Native Americans were over here before the conquistadors and everybody came over here, the pilgrims and all that, they will find gold and mills just laying around. But then after the so-called white man came over here and conquered this land, you see, you can't even find fruit trees anymore, man.
They was a major plot, for gold mining. That's where you get the 49ers.
You got it, brother.
It's Tobit chapter 4 and verse 13. Now therefore, my son, love thy brethren, and despise not thine heart thy brethren, the sons and daughters of thy people, in taking thy wife of them. The point. For a bride is destruction and much trouble, and lewdness is decay and great want. For lewdness is the mother of famine. So when you read how scriptures talk about wickedness is multiplied in the earth, right? That lewdness, that wickedness is the reason why we're in the state of great decay and great earth to speak.
Right? Homelessness, they're cutting down all the trees. See what I'm saying? So all that's contributing to the
Go ahead. This is 2 Ezra chapter 14 and verse 17. But look how much the world shall be weaker through age.
exactly.
So much the more shall increase upon them that dwell therein.
Yeah, so as the world dwelled on, the world got worse and worse, got weaker, right? The people got worse.
And after that point, because when you look at the depression of society, you go back to where the thing is, they said society started with the Greeks. So from the Greek Empire to the pagan Roman Empire, and then for that little period when you had the Holy Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire and all that, to where we here in America, which is True Horn, which is also known as Rome 2.0, the reincarnation of Rome. As technology increased, the world has suffered for that. So this is how we know that, like you mentioned earlier, we are being ruled over by the descendants of Cain. Yeah.
Radiation, satellites, you put the cell phones, the TV you watching, all the technology you got, your house, the Wi-Fi routers, all that is killing people. 5G, now we're getting ready to go to 6G.
And even the South, the Jews.
Yep.
Because they did report where all those people that died from that juice, they was routing through a area, and it was like the Wi-Fi routers for all the
Oh yeah, I remember
that got that juice.
It was blowing.
It was blowing, yeah. The dude had to test them. You just saw all the plots how routers,
Yeah.
man.
They were giving off Wi-Fi. Because that nanotechnology that they put inside that JV, that's crazy. Yeah, but this stuff is not possible. But this man's gonna give me the revelation. We hold something. Give me that.
Isaiah chapter 24 and verse 4 mourneth and fadeth away.
Yep.
The world languisheth and fadeth away.
Right, can somebody give me the word language? Right, and that's the earth right now. Right, this earth is not in full strength at all. And that's why these things, earthquakes, sinkholes, mudslides, hurricanes, this is the earth fighting back.
Yeah.
Right?
This definition of language in the Free Dictionary, it says to become weak or feeble, to lose strength or vigor.
Yeah. So the earth is losing its strength. You know? Anymore.
To exist or continue in miserable or disheartening condition.
Is that not the planet and the people in it? Go ahead.
To remain unattended or be neglected.
Yeah, so the earth being ran like it's supposed to be ran, right? Because the true people are not important. Go ahead.
To become,
So the nigga winging it.
yeah,
If I can add to that point though, Adam was given the job to keep the garden, right?
yeah,
Cultivate the earth.
cultivate the earth, yeah. It says to become downcast or pine away in longing.
Yeah.
Which is why you read Romans the 8th chapter, it talks about how the creation groaneth in travail until the sons of God are risen back up.
The earth needs to be inside and get back in power. Right? Because if not, the world will be destroyed. Right? You got it out.
Isaiah chapter 24 and verse 1 the latter. The world languisheth and fadeth away.
Yep.
Haughty people of the earth do languish.
Yep. And even the people, that's why everybody, high levels of cancer, everybody's sick. Yep.
Yeah,
Right?
oh, man.
You know?
If I may add, there was a that was talking about the rise of colon cancer in people that are in their 20s,
Yep.
30s, 40s.
Yeah, and why is that? Because it's a lack of fiber in this food because of these GMOs.
Yep. No nutrients.
Yeah.
This man took out all the nutrients. That's why you got to supplement and take a shitload of vitamins just to get the real minerals that your body needs. And it's really supposed to be in the meat and the vegetables and the fruits.
Yeah, the scripture say let our soul be our medicine. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, this is what we're addressing within homelessness. You're supposed to leave a certain percentage of the
Yeah, right.
yeah, the meeting that you're supposed to leave a portion of that for the people that are homeless. So even the destitute, so from top to bottom, this devil does not check out any of the true aspects of a leader according to the way that the Lord says to you. Yeah, this devil has no mercy. Like you said, it's even harder for you if you're homeless. He knows that. But what his mindset is, he looks at you as a prophet. Because your homelessness puts somebody's food on their table. That's what allows somebody to be able to sustain their lives.
Right.
So these problems that Esau, this devil, puts out into the earth, he doesn't want to mitigate them.
Right. Because the Bible has for all the world's problems.
Right.
But the people in the rulership don't use the truth for what it is because as it says in Job the 20th chapter, he puts the word of the Lord behind him. What you just said, this is Deuteronomy, this is in the law. Deuteronomy 24 and 21. When thou gatherest the grapes of thy vineyard, thou shalt not glean it afterward. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow.
It is. So right there, the scriptures is telling you, understanding that people may be homeless and destitute, hey, you have to leave a portion.
Right. So there should be no such thing as a world hunger problem. Even a homeless problem, because the scripture talks about that you have a sanctuary, a sanctuary place for people, man. So the Lord has all those avenues covered, but as this world don't give a damn because any way they can make a profit off the suffering of the people, do it.
Yeah, the scripture says that the unwise king destroys his people.
Exactly.
So we're being ruled over by the unwise men. Those people don't care about nothing but themselves.
And to show you that damn about the homeless now, especially because in certain states, they've made it illegal homeless. That's why you're seeing they'll put spikes on places where you can sit,
They're wicked.
they're the devil.
Okay, they pretty much they made it damn near illegal to be homeless, you see. But they're also like when people try to go to these different hotels, they put a limit on how much they can go to hotels too. So
It's all about money. So, like, if they can't milk you for something, then they're gonna try to get you. So they can make it to where they should go.
Sirach.
Shelters.
yeah, you get a certain amount of money. This someone that's homeless, they can get locked up or something like that. They get a certain amount of free medicine.
And then on top of it, you see these people that walk around and they give out, food and different supplies. Those are tax write-offs that they can use to pretty much put more money in their pocket. So it seems like they're trying to help. It's really just a selfish means for them to get more money themselves.
The government also subsidizes a lot of these homeless help people that come out here, right? The different organizations, they get these subsidies, but it's millions of dollars that don't get, spread out evenly.
Right.
So they take paychecks instead of using that money to, help forward people.
Yeah, exactly.
Real quick,
We're doing with the devil out here, man.
Sirach 39 and 26. The principal things for the whole use of a man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape.
and oil and clothing.
Now, these are all necessities of life that the Lord made free for us. Now, what you're seeing what the government done is made all this shit to where you have to pay for it. Like you got that limitation where it says we have drinking on water for money and all that. You know, everything that the brother just listed off, the earth makes refuge.
Isaiah chapter 24, verse 5.
Yep.
The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof,
Yep.
because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance,
Yep.
broken the everlasting covenant.
Look up the word ordinance. All right, and then, like the scripture said, the earth is foul because of the rulers. These are the rulers. These people that run the earth, that control the money supply, that own all the resources, that control the media, the corporations. These people, man. Right? This is why the earth is waxing weak. Right? That's why everything is dying. Right? This is why the earth is in desperate need for the righteous to be put back on the throne, so that the earth can thrive and people can live again. Right?
Ordinance in the Elam Online dictionary is an authoritative direction, decree, or command, or directly from
At the very bottom.
to put in order, arrangement.
Oh yeah. Go.
I got it.
Yeah. It should be at the bottom.
It's
Good points though.
Strong's H 2706.
Right.
It says statute, ordinance, something prescribed, decree, ordinance, specific decree, law in general, enactment, statutes, conditions, decrees.
So going back to Adam, he was given a decree on how to govern the earth, cultivate the earth. Anymore?
Civil enactments prescribed by the Most High.
Civil enactments prescribed by the Most High. These devils, they're not operating in that manner. This is why the earth is in the current condition. Right?
From the free dictionary, it says the act of conferring or receiving holy orders.
There were holy orders given to the rulers of the earth. Right? This is why, as we quoted Romans the 8th chapter, this is why the Lord's Creed is yearning for the sons of God to be put back. Right? Because Matthew, 24 and verse 22, the Lord, give me that real quick. This is why he sped everything up.
Let me add to that point too. This is the first, when Esau getting into rulership, that was the first time the Israelites weren't looked at, for guidance or advice. Right? There were all these other kingdoms who look towards us, for counsel. Right? But now that, like the brother man mentioned, starting with the Greeks, right? From that point on, wickedness was allowed to fester, man.
Right, which is why the scriptures refer to Edomites as the basis of all men. Because only an idiot would defer from the Lord's laws, which have been proven to work, to promote a sex experiment. Because that's what this whole rulership that he has been running is a science experiment. Because when you look at the definition of modern, what we're living in, they call it modern times. The word modern literally means to be opposed to the past. So he has said, fuck what the Lord said, I'm going to do it my way, and we're part of what he's going to do.
Right. Is not the Lord called the Ancient of Days?
Before time itself. Yeah.
This is, you got it?
Matthew chapter 24 and verse 22.
Yep.
And except those days should be shortened,
Yep.
should no flesh be saved.
Exactly. That's why everything is moving rapid fire. The prophecies, all the calamity and chaos is going on in the world. These things are happening because the Lord said, no flesh will be saved. Go ahead.
But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened.
Yeah, so for the elect's sake, these days are being shortened, man. Salvation is on the way. The Lord is getting ready to destroy the wicked rulers, man, because if he didn't, no flesh would be saved. He would destroy the planet. If he had his way, he would destroy the whole earth, man. There would be no existence because, going back to the birthright, man, because he got finessed out of the birthright, he's just ready to take the whole world with him.
And he had, as one of his last options, when you look at the land of Israel, they have something what they call the possession option, where in World War III, when World War III pops off, if they find themselves in a position where they can't win, they have nuclear missiles set to pretty much shoot at every country in the world. Yep. They want to bring a worldwide genocide because they can't win. Extremely so.
That's that devil. Right? The scripture speaks about how he carefully sought it with tears.
The intent of this devil's heart is deep. Everything that you see, I mean, like as the elder had made mention of, is the direct correlation of him trying to set up a pseudo kingdom. All of these, like going back to your original question about the AI integration into society, the AGI, the chip, all of these quote unquote futuristic advancements is for him to try and actually establish his kingdom on earth.
Exactly.
This is his kingdom, but he wants to take it to a whole other level.
Right. Say that everyone thought is that their house shall go on forever. He sees that his rulership is slipping between his fingers, so he's trying to figure out to usurp authority. And he knows that when Messiah was back, that he's going to be knocked out of the power seat. So what his rabid mind wants to make come to pass is that go to war with the Lord, defeat him, and establish himself as the eternal Lord of the earth.
No. And that's why they have quotes like reinventing evolution and things like that. Because they want, like the brothers that made mention, man, they want to put themselves in the sixth time, man.
It's funny bragging about Elon Musk and Trump bragging about the Bible of Rome. Right? As we talked about earlier in the beginning of this sermon, that the revival of Rome is going to be the end of this world. As we, that's why, as you said, part of the beast, or part of the image of the beast is this man. Some modernized Roman, technological Rome.
Article that the Economist had posted in last month's edition. Basically, the article was talking about cyborgs and superhumans. And pushed throughout that entire article, as you read through it, was pretty much a persuasion to show you why these advancements, one, must happen, and two, will happen, right? And it was showing you the current state of the world is a push to break through this wall that what really is a pseudo wall, right? Because Esau's mindset, the powers that be, they want to break out of their confinements of these bodies, man, right? They want to express what it is that the Lord has set their bounds to be. But ultimately, they're not going to be able to pass it. But they're going to try their hardest to do so.
They're trying to fulfill what's written in First. Matter of fact, let's make that the last one. 1 Corinthians 15. They're trying to fulfill 1 Corinthians 15 on the left hand side. As we talked about earlier, they know that the Lord is going to bless His elect, all right, with new bodies. All right, we're going to go back to these bodies in our original form. All right, we're getting ready to go back to God's snatch. All right, 1 Corinthians 15, starting at verse 44, 43, somewhere. Let's read that. We'll read it in the chapter.
It's 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 40.
So again, these people on this side, they know that this is getting ready to come to the Lord's chosen. Go ahead. Start at 44, 43.
This is 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 43. Start at 40. You start at 40.
Got it?
There are also bodies and bodies terrestrial.
There are also celestial bodies, speaking about angelic bodies, and there are also terrestrial bodies. Those bodies that we have now are terrestrial. They break down, they age and die, right? Go ahead.
But the glory of the celestial is one, and the glory of the terrestrial is another. There is one glory of the sun, and another glory of the moon, and another glory of the stars.
Yeah, so the Lord created bodies. Right? Go ahead.
For one star differeth from another star in glory. So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption. It is raised in incorruption.
Right. Bodies that we're in were sown in corruption, meaning in sin. But in due time, we're going to be raised into incorruption. All right? Perfect bodies, sinless bodies. Right?
Verse 43. It is sown in dishonor. It is raised in glory.
Man.
It is sown in weakness.
Yep.
It is raised in power.
See, they know that. They know this is coming. Go ahead.
It is sown a natural. It is raised a spiritual body.
See, they know that the spiritual bodies are coming. They're just trying to do it on their own means through technology. By merging man with machine, chipping your body, right? Bionic arms and legs. Yeah, that's all witchcraft.
Yeah, they've been doing that through Hollywood for years. That's why it seems like it's finally like a futuristic concept now to have mechanical parts put inside.
Or take your brain or your consciousness out of your body and put it inside the machine. Yeah. It's all madness. Go ahead.
Jumping down, it's verse 50. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High.
Speaking about these bodies. Go ahead.
Neither doth corruption inherit incorruption.
Keep going.
Behold, I show you a mystery.
Right, this is what Paul was saying. It's a mystery. Go ahead.
We shall not all sleep.
Meaning we should not all die. All of us are not going to die. Right? You're going to have, you may have some orders for the Lord or whatnot, but everybody's not going to die. Go ahead.
But we shall all be changed.
We shall be changed. Go ahead.
In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye,
Yep.
at the last trump.
At the last trump. So we're in that time, man. These last days when things start going down, right? The Lord's going to give his men those spiritual bodies. It's going to be spiritual power. Miracles are going to be happening. Go ahead.
For the trumpet shall sound,
Yep.
the dead shall be raised incorruptible.
And the dead shall be raised incorruptible. Man. Those that died, died in the Lord. Go ahead.
And we shall be changed.
And we shall be changed. Meaning we're gonna put on those extraterrestrial. Keep on out.
For this corruptible must put on incorruption.
This corruptible body must put on incorruption, perfection. Go ahead.
And this mortal must put on immortality.
See, these mortal bodies are going to put on immortality. We're not going to die. We're going to be as on the earth. That's pretty much the point. So again, they know this is coming, right? It's heavy stuff.
We just see them trying to make super soldiers, these different killer robots, because they know that the Lord is gifting them a project to.
That's it, man. So hey, we'll leave it like that. Hey, we pray that you still listeners out there will edify. We'll close out and give our praise, honor, and glory to
YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH.
Hey, double honors to the apostles, elders, those who taught us the truth. Double salutations to all you occupants of labor in the house of David, the elect, pushing his word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Shalom, brother. Shalom. Hey, shalom.